Hello, dear viewers. Namaskar. Welcome to Moksha Media. You are with Moksha Hiramat. Some of you may have heard the name of B.L. Rice, especially the persons in the field of inscriptions and rock edicts might have read these works. B.L. Rice was a historian, archaeologist, educationist, epigraphist, and a writer. He was also an educationist. His full name was Benjamin Lewis Rice. Lewis is pronounced in two ways. As for French, it is pronounced as Levi. As for English, it is pronounced as Lewis, just like Louis and Louis. Anyhow, if I use both types of pronunciation, you should not be confused. And you should not be confused with E.P. Rice. E.P. Rice was also a historian, but he was cousin of B.L. Rice. B.L. Rice was famous for deciphering inscriptions in Kannada and in Sanskrit in the princely state of Mysore. He is also called as Shasana Pitamaha, that is grandsire of epigraphy, and Puratattva Pitamaha as grandsire of archaeology. His researches were published in Epigraphia Carnatica and etc. Benjamin Lewis Rice was born in Bangalore on 17th July 1837 to Benjamin Holt Rice. His father, B.H. Rice, that is Benjamin Holt Rice, was a Kannada scholar and wrote books in Kannada on arithmetic, geography, and history. He translated, that is B.H. Rice, translated Bible into Kannada, being a Christian London missionary. Most of you may have seen the Rice Memorial Church located at Avenue Road in Bangalore. That church is named after Reverend Benjamin Holt Rice. That is, that church at Avenue Road in Bangalore is named after Benjamin Holt Rice, the father of Benjamin Lewis Rice. That Benjamin Holt Rice was a reverend. So, B.L. Rice came from such a family background. B.L. Rice had his early education in Bangalore, and then he went to United Kingdom to had graduation in 1860 AD. After graduation, he returned to India and appointed as a principal of the Bangalore High School. That is, later it is called as Central College and now Central University, and then Manmohan Singh University. Benjamin Lewis Rice joined the Mysore Civil Service in the princely state of Mysore. And he served in a different capacity there. As a director of public instruction, he introduced the Holy School system in 1868. Of course, it was a first type of school at that time. Before that, Holy schools were not there. He was a member of Royal Asiatic Society, elected to it in 1879. Benjamin Lewis Rice became the head of Mysore State Archaeological Department, the first one to head the newly created department. Of course, that post helped him in documenting his findings in the Epigraphia Karnataka. Major Dixon at that time showed some photographs of a few inscriptions of the area and requested him to provide a translation which triggered his interest in epigraphy in 1873. He came across hundreds of ancient stone inscriptions, that is rock edicts, and script of them was in way and varying. B.L. Rice deciphered them with the help of his assistants. B.L. Rice alone found 9,000 inscriptions and edited, translated and transliterated them with the help of his assistants. Of course, R. Narasimhachar was one of his assistants at that time. He published those inscriptions in Kannada, Sanskrit and Tamil in the book Mysore Inscriptions in 1879. He published a catalogue of all inscriptions found in princely state of Mysore in 1882. And B.L. Rice was appointed to compile gazettes for Mysore and the neighboring Coorg province. The gazettes were published in three parts: Mysore in general, Mysore by districts, and Coorg in 1876. This is the first type of work in whole India at that time. Of course, Coorg volume was excluded in second edition and it was published in 1897. The government of Karnataka reprinted those volumes in 2004. That is, this Mysore Gazetteer is a great contribution to Karnataka. He discovered Roman coins and Ashokan edicts in some parts of Karnataka. This discovery led him to the reconstruction of India's glorious history. B.L. Rice established that an important dynasty which founded the kingdom of Nepal owed its origin to Nanyadeva, who was belonged to Ganga dynasty of Karnataka. Till that time, no one identified this finding. But Benjamin Lewis Rice was the first one to find it out and publish it also, and he established that fact. His interest in numismatic let him discover a person who would establish the kingdom of Nepal. In addition to it, Benjamin Lewis Rice edited Amarasinha's Amarakosha under the title Amarakoshavemba Namalingana Shasanavu in Kannada and published it in 1927. He was also well versed in Sanskrit. So, he edited Pamparamayana of Nagachandra in 1868 and he started another series of Bibliotheca Carnatica, another important work of Benjamin Lewis Rice. The more important works in these publications are Kaviraja Marka, published in 1898, Karnataka Bhasha Bhushana, published in 1884, Karnataka Shabdanushasana in 1890, Pamparamayana in 1874, and Pampabharata in 1898. His scholarly articles were published in journals such as the Indian Antiquary and Royal Asiatic Society journals. He authored some books on biblical theme. So, his contributions such as Epigraphia Karnataka, Gazetteer of Mysore State and Coorg, Bibliotheca Karnataka, and Amarasingha's Shabdakosha were some of his invaluable contribution to the advancement of Kannada literature and its history. Of course, he was born in Bangalore and bred in Bangalore and served in princely state of Mysore, but died in Harrow in London on 10th July 1927. Of course, Benjamin Lewis Rice is one of the memorable Christian missionaries. He contributed such things which could not be forgotten for ever and ever. So usually, some of the persons working in the missionaries did this rare act. Especially we have to remember Wesleyan missionary and German missionaries in this regard. Even today, the tradition of B.L. Rice in one way or another way is continued in Karnataka. And we have persons who are well versed in reading inscriptions and deciphering them. And such one is Professor Devakonda Reddy of Hampi University. He was a retired professor now. And Professor late M.M. Kalaburgi called Professor Devakonda Reddy as the modern B.L. Rice. What B.L. Rice did it in the princely state of Mysore, Professor Devakonda Reddy did it in North Karnataka. That is why late Professor M.M. Kalaburgi called him as modern B.L. Rice. I have heard in one of his interviews to the Lofty Land YouTube channel that Basavanna was in Vachanas and Kavyas, Vachanas and epics, but not in Shasanas. A statement should be considered properly and without prejudice. And he also said that in that interview that Vijjala Mandaleshwara of Vengi Mandala went an expedition with his army to Kalyana and he attacked Tailapa to usurp the power. Basavanna being a head of treasury in Vijjala cabinet, of course, also accompanied him to Kalyana at that time. Most of the persons, most of the celebrities of Vijjala were accompanying him in that expedition. And after that, some of the scholars, some of the persons called that expedition as Kalyana Kranti or as Kalyana Revolution. Of course, this is also a statement which can shed a light on new understanding of history and shasanas and kavyas, and that is poetry. So of course, what Professor Devakonda Reddy told should be researched properly without any prejudice. Anyhow, his understanding regarding Kalyana Kranti and Basavanna should not be neglected. That is the main point. So, that is what the tradition of B.L. Rice is also continued in this period also, and we are fortunate we have scholars who are experts in inscriptions, in shasanas, like Devakonda Reddy, who is amidst us even today. So subscribe and share it, and see you in the next episode. Thank you. Namaskar.